call you when you're okay. You're live, guys.
Hey, hello everybody who's joining us on Facebook today. Our Power Hour for Veterans Day. We are joined by Brandy King and Will Penn. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Just really quickly, I want to set the intention for the hour. And again, thank you for being with us. We want to be able to empower the voices that are here, to hear about how we as tribal members, civilian population can help those who have entered into the services, whether they're about to go off to boot camp or come home and finish up all of their service. We want to be able to talk about that, hear about what they've done in their time, and then just open it up for discussion. Oh, so we'll just do a bit of introductions, and if it's all right, I'll go first and then I'll pass it off and we'll just go that way. So hello, my name is Joshua Cocker. My Kiowa name is Konguruka. I had a position as a young man, and that position had a name as well, Ade Tali, which means favorite son. I was a favorite son of our Tonkonga Warrior Society. And as a young boy, I was brought up by my uncles, my grandpas, my older brothers, veterans who have come home from all kinds of different wars. My grandpa Carlos was a great mentor to me. He served in World War II. My grandpa Buddy, who went to Vietnam. My grandpa Tugger went to Vietnam. All of the men in the society were active or reservists in military branches, and that makes up our warrior society today. And it's been an honor to be able to be reared by them from a young age, and to be able to be here with you guys today. My father comes from the Kingdom of Tonga in the South Pacific, and on my dad's side, we have a lot of servicemen who have served in the Tongan Marine Corps, and a few who even served in the military in New Zealand. So I'm super stoked to be able to bring their lineage and to bring those places and people here to this call with you. And we hope that you feel the love and the power of what we're going to be talking about today. I'll pass it over to Brandy.
Oh, okay. Well, Matakiapi, Wuniatu Ota Akichita, Washdewi. I introduced myself, and that's my Wardi name. And I come from the No Retreat clan, which is the Nakota side. So I belong to the Nakota, the Oglala, the Pekani, and Little Shell people. I was born in Montana, born in Browning, raised in Fort Belknap. That's where I decided to join the services. I don't have to go too much further into that. I don't know what your time limit on introduction, but I guess I'll just stop there and pass it to Will before I get on a long-winded one.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us, and happy Veterans Day to all of our fellow veterans out there. And my name is William Penn. My Indian name is Wa'ale, Cloud Pusher. And I come from the Koyu tribe and the Squaxin Island tribe, the Koyu tribe on my dad's side, my Squaxin Island tribe on my mom's side. And I'm just glad to be here and glad that you guys are joining us. Once again, thank you.
Well, thank you, Will. John Spence is with us, and when his audio joins us, we'll... Hey, John, how you doing?
You made it.
Hmm?
Oh, you're still on mute there, I think. Oh no.
Can you hear us, John?
I think just before the audio catches up, you can't really hear the participants. That's okay. We'll keep going, and when John joins us with his audio, we'll get him to introduce himself too. Beautiful. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. Just to start us out, I kind of wanted to go back to that part we were talking about in setting intention. What are ways that the civilian population can help our veterans and servicemen and women, and also any advice for young vets, old vets, young servicemen who can, take advantage of some of the things that are out there for them? Oh, it's open-ended, open-ended. Anyone can go.
Let my elders go.
Okay. Well, I don't know if John's connected yet, but he's a little bit more elder than me.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, I was just gonna say to all the veterans out there that are applying for benefits, check out your local VAs and don't give up on applying for those benefits. I know it's rough, but just stick with it. Those benefits, you've earned those benefits by serving your country and whatever happened. It's the government policy to deny benefits at least a minimum of 3 times. So just continue with those applications and get your buddy letters and get all your connections that you need. Or if you want, there's lots of different agencies that'll for fee for service will help you do that kind of stuff too. So don't, it's something, and it's a way to get those benefits. So just keep those up is my main mission for today's is not to give up on those benefits that you deserve, that we all deserve, and we shouldn't have to fight this hard for the benefits. So thank you. I'll pass it back to Brandy. I don't know if John's connected yet or not.
I'm not sure. Okay. So for me, I'm not exactly sure like what organizations right now, like nonprofit and things like that. I couldn't name anything offhand because I know there's several. I know that there's so many that are out there, organizations that are trying to pick up the slack, so to speak. For me, how I would encourage, as far as supporting veterans, for one, I know I'm not trying to bring politics in it, but it takes congressional changes. It takes like policy and congressional changes to fit the needs, especially to rural veterans, especially to those that reside on reservations, and you get into complicated jurisdictions there. If was you referring to like if a young person is joining, Josh, did you say that? Or just kind of afterwards the support system needed? Was that what
any type of support that you guys are aware of, anything you want to elevate during this time? We want to make your voices heard too.
Well, for me, that's been the biggest fight, I would say. Trying to reconnect, recover, repair yourself after battle. I think there's so many important pieces that are unfortunately missing, and a lot of that is our ceremonies. Those ceremonies that were held once, somebody came back from deeds, somebody came back from something pretty intense. And then if you're looking at obviously the mental health services and the physical medicine services that should be provided to veterans, it really isn't. After my service, after being discharged, I went back home to Montana. You want to go home to heal, you want to go home to be with family, but that was like going into another war zone, actually, seeking help, seeking answers for what I was enduring and to this day still enduring. It was between the VA and IHS. It was like, no, you do it, or no, you're supposed to do it. And until that comes together, until there's something that is specific, and I know it's come a long way since I first started reaching out, but it shouldn't take this long, and we are still losing veterans to suicide. And that's unfortunate, and that's a result of so many of those missing pieces that should be there. So that's kind of what I still try to advocate for to this day.
Well, thank you. I'm just going to read something from the comments. Kenneth Vance said that the Cherokee Nation has extended its application for its relief program for vets until Friday. So any of our listeners and those who are joining us from Cherokee Nation, check that out in the comments. That's awesome. I mentioned that I was a son of the Warrior Society, and I'm still a part of the Warrior Society, actually, in my position as Untitled. And we also have a female counterpart for Balance, Ade Matan, the favorite daughters. We're the only ones who don't have to serve in the military in order to be a part of the society and to continue on in the society. And ever since I was a young guy, we go to ceremony, and part of bringing our people home, like Brandy was talking about, is we would have a turnaround dance. And at the end of the turnaround dance, when our curve lance, our coup lance is touches the drum, the dance stops, everyone stands where they are, and a microphone is given to one of the warriors, one of our veterans, and they share any story they want. And it happens every year. It used to happen twice a year when I was younger. And what that does is it just helps relieve the pressure. They come home from their time in service and whatever that was, excuse me. And part of bringing them home is we all share those things with them. We all lighten the load. We all help them along, so that when those lonely nights come or whatever, the circumstances may be, and our own people, those who have raised their hand and said that they'll defend us and fight for us and work on behalf of us and our better hopes, feel like the best option is to take their life, they have a community to support them. And so I love the discussion that we've already started, and I just wanted to say that too. This is the time to reach out. This is the time to say what's up and check in with people. During the time of COVID, we're even more isolated than we were beforehand. So I love this. Thank you. The next question that I had for us here is something that was born out of this summer, really, with all the protests that have been going on all over the nation. As a young Indigenous person on Instagram, I have a lot of young Indigenous friends, and something I started to see was this kind of anti-establishment support, and that came it kind of came to a head point in terms of like military service. When the National Guard was deployed to help keep the peace in some cities, it was kind of like an anti-military stance. We are all, as Indigenous peoples, we are all warfaring people, as I've come to know, traveling around the different communities all over Turtle Island. And so I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? And any guidance, for our people, insights would be super helpful.
My elder, go for it.
I was just gonna when we having that earlier discussion on what we can do. Brandy just said there's 529 tribes, federally recognized tribes, and other tribes that aren't federally recognized. But with so many veterans out of all the tribes, one of the pushes that the VA is doing is to having a memorandum of agreement between the tribes and the VA. But if they can, somebody out there can help their clinics get signed up to be partnerships with those VAs, and it'll be income for those clinics that open their doors to see veterans, and they'll even get paid for seeing their own tribal veterans as well. So I just wanted to push that out there as well too. So it's due. Julian can put in the comments Terry's contacts for help with that too. So I just wanted to add that. But it's I got sidetracked with that, so I'll let it go back to Brandy so I can.
Oh
connect.
no, thank you. Thank you for adding that, because I guess I'll just like touch really quick, and then I'll go to what you're right. For Fort Belknap, I've been trying for a long time to figure out a good agreement. I know while serving on the council, the sitting president, the council president, he activated a veterans committee, and we worked really closely with Rocky Boy Veterans because they do have a center there. And how it came to be, though, it took like several years of just volunteering their own time and resources to get it to where it's at, and then they're still developing. But Rocky Boy Veterans Center, I don't know the exact title. I'm just having kind of a little missing piece, but yes, Rocky Boy Veterans in Montana, they do have a good thing going, and they could use some support because they reach out to everybody else to help. With what Josh was saying, what you're talking about is the same conversations that I'm listening to, I'm hearing, I'm trying to, put myself in the shoes of those who this is the glance, this is the perception, this is the view that they have right now. And so I take what I have learned over the years, is all these different view sets from my father served on the council for several years. We were introduced right away as a young kid what IHS meant, what all of these federal shackles were to us, like the 574 tribes. I can't speak for them all, but I know that at some point your agreements with the government, if you signed on to in the Indian Reorganization Act, now your tribe is now attached to that. You're now having to follow those federal guidelines and say that you're a economically developing tribe, that your location is bringing good revenue in, then you can have some flexibility and work around it. Where you have Fort Belknap, we are almost to the Canadian border. They pushed us as far up as they could go, put us in the middle of nowhere, even though it's a beautiful prairie. There's not a lot of development options there unless it's agriculture. And if it's agriculture, you have competition. And if it's agriculture, you have BIA. BIA is telling you what you can do, and it depends on how much of your land is in trust. Fort Belknap is 99% in trust, so that means they have control over 99%, but that still leaves a permission slip. You still have to go up into the Department of Interior and ask them. There's the term sovereignty is like, what is the term? People use quasi-sovereign, those type of conversations are had. So then how do we get to the root to what these young ones, how they feel, how they're seeing this, how they're seeing 2020 develop out, how they see it play out? How do we tell these stories to them? I don't want to, go into a room and start telling these kids and young ones like, hey, that's not how it is, but I'll tell my story. I'll tell you what decolonizing means, because decolonizing would mean separation from the United States. Decolonizing, that means that we would no longer have to worry about those federal red tape that's wrapped around our throats and wrapped around our wrists. But we don't have the ability to do that because we're put in these little boxes. You're fed, you're watered, you're hoped you could live, your BIA budgets, your IHS budgets, you get your little piece of the pie and you hope for the best. And so are we going to look at this on those who are on reservation indigenous, or those are in urban? Because then we have that divide too. We have that type of conversations of well, who's more indigenous, or who's decolonizing more, or who's doing this. And so we're just like competing with ourselves while trying to survive. All the stories that from governance, from tribal governance, came from the household. My dad, we would sit at the table and I would hear these stories. I'm like, okay, Dad, I get it. As a young kid, I get it. I just want to go run around and play basketball. He would be like, we're oral people. I need to keep telling you this. And I'm so effing glad he did, because when that time came, it clicked. I was like, okay, that's where that red tape is. That's where we got to go. It's all controlled by Congress. There is nothing that we could undo. We can have as much sovereignty in our spirits as we can, but if we look on paper, you're going to see that red tape. If we don't, even though we're all something else's, we're all also 574 different languages, different ceremonies, maybe the same. So I don't know how to unweave that or to weave it in or to clean it up, but those are great conversations. I would hope that those conversations happen peacefully, but if they don't, then I think like I'm 40 years old and thinking I'm like right in the middle, like, what do I do? Not necessarily confused, but like, okay, how do I help? How do I share my stories? How do I relate? And how do I contribute? So.
Oh, thank you. I like the call to action there, to be more politically involved. It's definitely our call to make sure that our whatever form of sovereignty that the treaties allow, and we keep that and progress it as much as we can. So thank you. Hello, Linda.
Hi, bonjour.
Hello.
Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you. Thank you for being here. So good
Hey,
to
Will.
see your
Hi.
face, to hear your voice and see your face.
Oh, miigwech. I'm calling from Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just, we provide service in many ways. And so I brought my granddaughter here to the Children's Hospital for my great-granddaughter's checkup. She gets an annual checkup. She had skull surgery a couple of years ago. And so I'm honored to bring her here. And I told them I needed to finish eating and then I'll come in and join them, but I wanted to touch base with you guys too. I've been doing a couple of interviews on Zoom. It's been fun, Chimigwech to all of you who have served and will. I just absolutely love you, and it's been fun. I miss our buddy, Charlie. I was looking at some of my pictures and I really, really miss him. And he touched my heart very deeply. And I know he touched a lot of people's hearts. So, but those are all good memories.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm just butting in.
That's fine. We're glad to have you butt in with us and join us. We're just talking about how to help the young people understand the system that we're in, and I think Brandy hit the nail on the head. Unless you grow up inside that political system, you really don't know where the government sources are coming from. And it's I think if we had a better or more models out there where we can explain to the young kids how the tribes get their fundings and why it's important to do these when the Census Bureau comes around, why it's important to do those. And unless you were like my grandma, she was on council when I was, and the other people that I lived with, my brother was on council. And but understanding that dialogue of where the federal funding sources, their guidelines and all the red tapes and everything, and all the different hoops that we have to jump through. But it's that sharing of that and teaching of that to our young people who just thinks, I don't know what the young people think where the funding comes from. So it's like, they'll put in for a request for something thinking it's going to get approved. Then they get all pissed off because it's not approved because of all the red tape. But it's, that turns into the tribal politics and everything. So it's like, well, I can't have braces, or whatever they want, so it's like.
Sometimes they want it like to go into McDonald's and they order up and then they get it right now. We're such a right now society.
Oh yeah.
That we don't think. I was telling my granddaughter on the way here that, because she was asking about per cap and all that stuff. I said, we might not get one this year because of, our casinos had to shut down. And when they opened back up, it was just very little bit in distance and wearing masks and all of that kind of stuff. And I says, my tribe was pretty poor. And I says, when I left home to go into the Air Force, I didn't get anything. I got maybe $5 and a sandwich to go on the bus to Detroit. And then the Air Force took me to Lackland Air Force Base. But I says, we didn't get anything, and so I've learned to wait. And sometimes in today's society, they don't like waiting. I don't like waiting either, but sometimes you just gotta, and so we have to be patient. And the government comes with a lot of red tape and a lot of rigid rules. So we can't really dictate to them what we want, or even to our own tribal ways. A lot of our tribes followed suit, have copied what the government, how they operate in terms of red tape and all of that. They've become very bureaucratic. And I hear a lot of people saying, well, how come they're not sharing the CARES Act funds with us, for example? you know. Those funds come with strings. And if we don't follow those strings or do what we're supposed to do, my tribe will have to send back money. And I don't want the tribe to do that. You know, I just want them to follow the rules like the rest of us do. You know, it's like driving here. And I was teaching my granddaughter, I says, you have to look at all the mirrors in the back and everything to see where all the vehicles are. And she said, I just look forward. I said, no, you can't. You know, I said, you have to learn to look on the sides, behind. If that car behind you is right up on your bumper, you have to really be aware of all of that. And I said, so we have to learn to follow the rules, whether it's on the road, whether it's at home within our tribe, and wherever. You know, there's rule, and those of us who've been in the military, holy smokes, we better follow the rules. You know. But we had fun though. I had fun when I was in the
Oh
service.
yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that might be. We might have to go to a different room for some of those wicked stories. Boy. Might just
I'm not
cut it
sharing
down.
everything.
Cut it down now. Oh, well, Linda, thank you. I don't know if you were done or I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to
No,
thank you
that's
for-
okay. I just ramble. I get on a
Oh.
train of thought and then I just need to.
No, that was a good one because I guess it makes me think of, like, I'm glad that you pointed it out. Like, there's restrictions, like as a sitting council member, there's so many things you want to do for your people. There's things that you wish, if somebody came and asked for that, you wish you could do it that day, but you have to go through this whole process. And especially when you brought up CARES Act funds, that unfortunately seemed to be one of the biggest things, one of the biggest unfortunate arguments. I mean, anybody could pick up social media and go to a tribal page and just kind of read of how the energy is and what the frustration is. And a lot of times I try to push in any conversation I have is the importance of the tribal governance and understanding, because it's a cookie cutter system, just like you said. Like Fort Belknap, December 1935, they signed into the IRA. So from December 1935, that's when our government, tribal government, started. So it was a copy and paste. It was a cookie cutter of every tribe, mainly a lot of the Plains tribes. And so, like, I'll use hemp as an example. I went to a USDA consultation that happened to be in Vegas, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to go to Vegas, because a council member going to Vegas, you know what that is. And I even asked the president, it's like, is this a real consultation? Because I don't want to go unless I have to. I'll put up with it if it is. Sure enough, it was a USDA consultation with hemp. Tribes all over the country had to create a hemp program, a hemp plan, and it had to go through this whole permission slip. And in that consultation, I went on record. I said, I shouldn't even be having this conversation. I do not like the fact that I have to ask you, USDA, for permission to grow medicinal products for, and I know however people think of hemp, however people want to view it. I don't want to, encroach on your view, but how I view it, Fort Belknap and other big land-based tribes could have been bringing in a lot of revenue, but again, the red tape, the permission, those are the type of things I would feel like those would be good conversations, and those should be in civics through the entire country. Every classroom, it doesn't need just to be on an immersion or a reservation or a BIE school. Those civics should be put into everybody. So if we're still something else at 6% on CNN a couple days ago, then what the hell? Our history books are garbage. Everything is garbage. There's no definition there. So to me, if we're still being called something else's, then a lot of our own brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles probably still don't really understand some of the civics or some of the governance. And that's not saying that they're a failure or they shouldn't know, but just sparking an interest in yourself to understand while your people are in the deficits that they are could help you pull that almost said the S word, can help you pull each other out. Do I get a exemption because it's Veterans Day when I slip a S word? I'm sorry.
Well, we get the day off.
Yes, so okay, so just cuss it up, guys. Tell your wicked story.
Yeah, don't worry
Yeah,
about
we get the
what
day
goes on.
off, so
We'll
that's
fix it
good.
in post. We'll bleep it in post. So
Okay. But I just wanted to kind of just go off of what Linda was saying, and some of the stuff you were talking about, Josh, is like, again, you don't want to just go in and start arguing with other beliefs about what's going on with military. That's the big one. I know we talked about it before we all jumped on, was what it was like to be an indigenous and serving organization or a group that preferred eradication and elimination and all that stuff, congressional acts, massacres. And so I've dealt with that topic and that question for almost 20 years, whether it was while I was in the military, while I was out. It happened a lot during Standing Rock, a lot of attacks on our characters, indigenous veterans, and that still happens. And obviously, like you said, it's still being brought up. But it's in our DNA. Like, it's in our DNA to want to protect and fight and help. And in this case, it happens to be in a military. We've seen the military be picked apart with all of the soldiers down in Fort Hood. There's a lot of things that came out of Fort Hood. There was a lot of things that a lot of veterans were like, what the F, Fort Hood, man? What are you doing? What the hell's going on? It didn't mean that we were turning the other or just looking away like that was going on. It was on the minds of a lot of veterans. The soldiers that are no longer with us because of something occurring in Fort Hood. I know that it frustrates people, it pisses people off, and they want answers, but it unfortunately goes to Congress. I hate to say that. I'm not saying that you cannot make changes, but unfortunately, just like the IHS, the BIA, everything that we're so pissed off about comes from Congress. We do our best to survive around it, but I think that no matter how people feel about the military and what it is, there's still going to be indigenous people that are going to follow their DNA, and it's nothing that we can do. It's just there. Nobody made it up. Nobody wants to go out and be, a superstar. It's just something that's there. And even if you're going to be judged, unfortunately, I'm still judged. But then let's talk about it. If we're judging,
I'm very grateful for the opportunity of serving, actually, because I enlisted in 1962, and the thought of college wasn't even a thought for me. And we were so poor that it just, for me, it was an opportunity to get out there in the world and to make my mark, so to speak, whatever it was. I didn't know what to expect. I was just 18 and 19 years old and excited. I was excited about leaving my little Indian village and getting out into the world. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. And it never occurred to me to think about what happened in our history, all of that other stuff, that's come along over the years. And what I like is that I can now say that I went in initially to serve myself because I wanted to get out there. And then ultimately what happened is I learned there that by serving in the military, I can also serve others after I leave the military. And I didn't know that I could do that for a very long time. And one of the things that, and I serve, if you recall, well, you don't remember. A lot of people are so much younger than me that they don't remember what it was like in the 60s. It was the Vietnam War. It was the protesting. It was Cuban Missile Crisis. It was the assassination of the president, and all of those things. Our country was very much in turmoil, like it is now. And so when I got out, I stuffed being in the military down. I pushed it away and I pushed it down because people were not very kind to us, especially Vietnam vets. And whether we served in country or not. I served in Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana during civil rights time. It was a war there, big time, but a different kind of war. And I think a lot of us have served many different types of war, and we come out and we still are serving. One of the best things that I get to do is I get to share my experiences with other people and the younger ones. And they do need to know our stories. They do need to hear how we manage to remain in service, so to speak. And I'm really honored to be able to do that. So I really appreciate that. And I know that when I started thinking about it, probably in the 1990s or so, when I started hearing more about historical trauma and all that kind of stuff. We never heard any of that kind of stuff a long time ago. We just didn't, you know. My parents never talked about being in boarding school. They never talked about even what they did in the military. Everything was, you know, we learned to be quiet. We learned to don't trust and don't feel, and just automatically go forward. And so that's what I did basically, until as I started to heal within, from the alcoholism, from the trauma from childhood, all of those things, those layers of stuff that some of us have to go through. Until then did I start to find my voice. And then now you can't shut me up. So it's, you know, I'm 77 years old and I'm still doing stuff. So, and I'm really fortunate and blessed. Some people out there know that I was invited to the Veterans Summit way back in 2013, I think, was somewhere in there, I think. And I brought with me an Eagle staff that I created with the help of many, many, many other people. Because I'm just a little old lady who didn't know why I was gifted with this eagle. I didn't know, I didn't understand, but I had a dream. I wanted to do something. And with the help of my brother, Todd, who was a ranger in the Army, and my other brother, Tony, who was also a ranger in the Army, and they helped me create this beautiful eagle staff that I get to carry and take care of. And we travel many, many places, even on Zoom. If I was at home talking to you right now, she would be with me in the room and you'd see her behind me, you know? And so we still are called to be of service in many ways. And the Eagle staff I get to take care of is, she's covered, she came with me with 10 eagle feathers. She now has 59 eagle feathers and 1 condor feather.
Wow.
Oh, Linda. Wow.
And so and those come from many, many Native communities throughout the United States. I didn't ask for a single one of those.
I have a question.
We just show up. Yes.
Sorry, Linda. I didn't mean to. I just had a question.
That's all right.
About
Yes.
your stuff. There was a one time where I think it was more like ceremonial. I think I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful and share it too much of it. But I'll give you kind of why I have the question. About 5 or 6 years ago, a Red Feather veteran by the name of Catcher Cuts the Rope, he was appointed as scout for the center pole. And my immediate response, because he came and asked me to help him, and my immediate response was like, oh man, how are we gonna explain this? Because there had been all of these years of women, your eagle staff, women don't carry eagle staff, women don't do this, women don't do that, women don't, and our history of women warriors says completely otherwise. And so right. I had this conversation with him. I was like, Catcher, I said, are you ready to answer these questions? Because, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I also want to, you're asking me to be a part of going to get the tree. And so I did, and we went to, the spiritual leaders and kind of like a heads up, so to speak. And one of them were like, don't worry, Brandy, I'll handle that if those conversations come up. And that's the time when I started thinking more about how there is that huge gap between how do we rightfully give all of our female women veterans who are very deserving of these gifts, who are very deserving, and how that is a part of our ceremonies. So if we're trying to stitch all of who we are together, if we're trying to preserve ourselves, if we're trying to decolonize, if we're trying to indigenize, then that very much needs to be a part of those conversations. And so I just wanted to kind of just speak about that a little bit, Linda, and if you had experienced anything with
Oh, I experienced a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you did. I didn't want to be
I got
rude,
a lot of flack from some, not all, but
Yeah.
from some men who were colonized and took that like, well, you women aren't supposed to do it. You can do it at your little talking circle, talking down to me like. And I said, you know what? I says, because I was invited to a powwow and to dance in with this head veteran and everything. But I didn't know who he was. And so I called him ahead of time to make sure he was all okay with everything. And out of respect, not only for him, but for myself and for the staff that I take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Out of respect, I asked who he was and how did he feel about whatever. And he got into this thing about women aren't supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell he was not viewing this as a spiritual experience at all. Because you can tell after a while if they're coming just from their head and what someone tells them something. But you can forecast like a truth in something.
Yeah.
And finally I says, you know what? I don't intend to come to this particular powwow, but maybe someday I'll see you somewhere. And like that. And I just let it go at that. About a year or so later, he called me and he apologized to me. And he says, I've been watching you, how you take care of that staff, where you go. And he said, because of that, the teachings I was given were a while ago. And some of us Native people, we almost lost our way. And so we weren't taught these ways because of alcoholism, all the boarding school, all of that stuff. And that got in the way. And so we began to listen to how the non-Native person would teach someone, this is what you do this, this, and this. But not knowing our own history, sometimes we bought that. We went along with that teaching. And so now, for whatever reason, in 2011, I was one who was designated here in Michigan to create this beautiful Eagle staff, who is a spiritual gift for our Native women veterans. And we go everywhere.
For all veterans.
Yeah.
For all nations. And when I heard Will was sick, I happened to be in Portland. I said, stop. I was talking to Paige. I says, we need to stop there. I need to go by and he needs to see McGeezy. That's what we call her because that's our word for a bald-headed eagle. So, and so we did that out of love and out of respect. And that's what I do. That's what we do. And last year, I had the privilege of going to Normandy, France, to celebrate the 75th anniversary of D-Day, the landing of D-Day. And we were on Omaha Beach. McGeezy and I were on Omaha Beach. And I got to participate in a ceremony right there on Omaha Beach. And I shed tears as I was crying, singing the water song to that channel that brought all of those boys. and they landed at Omaha Beach. And I thought, what am I? I'm what, 76 then? You know, I'm thinking, what am I doing here doing this? But it was such a tremendous honor. And those French people, oh, they treated us with such respect and honor. And they would come up to us, shake our hands, give us a hug, give us a kiss on each cheek, and thank us for restoring their liberty, for helping them get back their own country. That's beyond service, I think, actually. And I was just so deeply moved by that experience that it still travels with me. And again, I think McGeezy's the one who got us over there. Because at first I thought, well, that's too far to go, costs too much money, blah, 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 you know? And Creator and her got together and they figured out how for us to get over there. And I got to take my son with me over there. He's in his late 40s. And so he helped me with McGeezy. And then my sister Bets, who were over there with me, they helped me. If I got tired standing, because at those memorials over there in different places, you stood the whole time carrying your staff. And these women would step up and they'd help me. And then the younger ones, we had a couple of younger ones there, and those young ladies would come over, Linda, let me help you, you know, and they'd help me. We were on the beach, so it's kind of tricky to walk on the beach carrying the staff. And so they would be right there at my elbow to help me. And then when I got the opportunity to sing the water song, I had to take off my moccasins right away, and I just went in the water barefoot. Pretty soon, all of the other Ogeechee were right behind me, and we were all in the water singing the water song barefoot with our regalia on, but barefoot because of where we were, remembering our World War II soldiers who went there, and many of them died there. And we went to several, about three different cemeteries, and there's more there where Native soldiers are buried. One was from LCO up in Wisconsin, who's Anishinaabe. And I was just so moved by that. I thought, oh, and I got to take a picture of where his grave is and everything. And we got to have little ceremonies at their graves and remember them. That's part of what we do, regardless of the red tape of bureaucracy of the government. There's a higher being who takes care of us, and he cuts through that red tape, you know, and I'm so grateful for that. So I just get excited when I talk about McGeezy and what we do and what we still are doing. I don't know how much longer I can carry her or anything, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is today I'm still serving. And it's an honor for me to be able to do that. So that's it.
Well, thank you, man. I was when we were in preparation for this power hour, I was told last I would want to be a part of it on Sunday, and I was really looking forward to this and kind of thinking about, you know, what would be the best way to go about this. And I love how that question I love how that question evolved and the answers evolved as well. We started the question with like the vision, you know, that young people are experiencing today, any thoughts or insights. And again, back to this idea of like empowering the sovereignty that our tribes have. I mean, that's that's a whole nother power hour, man. You could have a whole month of power hours on tribal sovereignty, what that means for you and your tribe and your treaty. You know, some tribes are like, they don't even have treaties, but they're still federally recognized. Here in California, I'm experiencing that for the first time. I don't really understand that, but I love the idea of getting behind, you know, what we can do and making a difference where we're able, whether it's in politics or whether it's carrying medicine on behalf of our peoples to important places. And I love the link drawn between the two. Just I want to share just a short story in honor of my grandpa Carlos, who gave me his name. My childhood name was Saint Aite, which means the grizzly bear's like chin hair. And so if you were close enough to see that, you're a pretty rootinest, tootinest dude. So I heard. So it was a warrior name, and he gave it to me, and he died without that name because he gave it to me. My grandpa Carlos marched across as corporal in the U.S. Army across Europe during World War II, and helped liberate a couple of concentration camps along his way. When the war ended and the cleanup started, he was not given permission to go home. As an Indian back in the day, you kind of did what you were told in the military. And so my grandpa said that he stayed, and he came home with a couple other Comanche and Apache dudes, a few years later. People actually thought they died. They didn't know they were still around. But my grandpa Carlos, so hold on, let me back up real quick. The Tonkonga Society, our warrior society, we wear red capes, and that is from a coup that we counted on the Spanish down in Texas. We killed a whole bunch of Spanish soldiers and wore their boots and stole their horses. And we still carry those capes today, and we paint our legs or wear high black stockings in our moccasins. And everyone wears their medals and their ribbons from their time of service. And when my grandpa died, he gave them to me. And so every year I get out there and I dance with his medals as a way of remembering him. Definitely not to imply like stolen valor, but it's just something that I can wear to keep my grandpa close and to keep those memories, that he shared with me close as well. One of the things that he said was, during his time, it was less than 100 years ago that same army that he was fighting for was fighting against us. And he said that when the time came to serve, there wasn't a question. People were coming to hurt our people in our land, and this is the way to do it. And so he went about it. One of the things he said was he loved that our teachings of the plants serving, he loved that our teachings of like the water speaking nothing but love, and that the land, you can read it like a book, that our teachings were alive over there as they were back home. He said, I was never far from my people, and I never felt out of place. And he encouraged me when I was a young guy. He was like, you need to remember that you're a son of our first mother, the land. And so wherever there is land, then you have the right to be there too. And so you're not meant to feel afraid or small or any kind of contradictory feeling to just remember you're a gift, and you're meant to be here too. And he said that helped him out a lot. There's a lot of stories about my grandpa Carlos, and not all of them are that great, but that is one of my favorite stories about my grandpa Carlos. And I wanted to ask you guys, having done the time and served, what are some of the lessons, the warrior teachings that you can share with us, if I can ask that of you?
My elder.
Can
I was so
you-
happy, my elders, my elders.
I would say that like for me, it's like we're all equal, and everybody deserves the same quality of care and the same quality of compassion, no matter what their background is, what their family stories are, or anything. And wherever I worked at, I was a health director at a couple different places where these families the community deemed them less desirable for whatever reason, whatever their story was. But it's like my military background is like, no, they deserve the same care as you do, and it's like going and making sure they got that same quality of care everybody else. It's like that, like the saying, if nobody left behind. And so just bringing that one of the things that it's like working to a standard, and that's the minimal acceptance is that standard. So it's like that's what I got out of the military. So.
Thank you.
Well, I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
I dropped my phone, and then I lost myself here for a sec. But I was talking to one of my childhood friends this morning, and we were talking about some of the old veterans who used to walk, who served in World War II and were walking in Peshabi Town or wherever they went. And we still honored them, even though they came home troubled with whatever it is that they endured when they were in the military. And we know it today as PTSD, but back then they used to say, well, they were shell shock. For example, she says one time this one man came to visit, and he was a loud kind of a guy, and he just kind of, but somebody did a made a very loud noise, and he just immediately ducked under the table. And she says she remembers asking her mom, why did he do that? Oh my goodness, what's wrong with him? And she says, he's okay. She says, he's shell shocked from when he was in the service. It's all right, he'll be all right. So we kind of just accepted them for where, we didn't question them or anything like that, she said. She says, no, she says, we just have to, and again, with other ones who were alcoholics, and maybe they're wandering around on the streets somewhere, we still, if they came to our home, we still opened our door to them. We didn't shut them out. We loved them just as they were, because they helped us in that war, whatever war it was, you know, whether it be the Korean War, for example, or the Vietnam War, and like that. So so that to me was like, that's good medicine for that soldier, for that veteran who was injured. And I was thinking about that question. I was thinking about, I can't think of any better medicine than loving someone just right where they are. You know, I really can't. And we have many medicines that we have around here and everywhere and all of that. But if we can just love them as they are, when they're the most pitiful, and that's the very best thing. That's the kindest, most loving thing we can do. So I'm grateful for that, for hearing that, for my friend telling me that. And growing up as kids, you know, we just thought he was a goofy guy. We didn't know he had suffered in that way. So when she told me that today, I went, wow. So that gives me a different view of our elders when we were youngsters, how they respected those who went away and who were injured or hurt. So that's the only thing I could think of.
Oh, thank you.
And also I wanted to mention, I know this is off topic, but I wanted to mention Charles Shea. He's a Penobscot native from Maine, and he is a World War II vet, and he was a combat medic who landed on Omaha Beach that morning of June the 6th, 1943, and at 06:30 in the morning. And as a medic, he didn't carry any weapons or anything. All he had was his bag of medicine. And he has a powerful, powerful story. Well, he's still with us. He now currently lives in France. He says, when I leave, I want to be here with my buddies, with my friends who are buried there. So I wanted to mention him, and he's still alive. He's about 90, maybe 95 now, something like that. But we went over there to to honor him, to be a part of his support system over there. So he wasn't the only Native person there. So he brought over about 40 or 50 of us over there. So
Wow.
I just wanted to mention him. He's a beautiful, beautiful human being. His name is Charles Shea.
Whoa, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know how to follow that. That's some powerful words, you know, like and because both these warriors here, they shared a lot of good things that kind of fall into my own feelings. I'm a combat veteran. I served with the 1st and 25th Infantry Division Stryker Brigade combat team. I was one of very few females in this unit. I experienced the Iraqi conflict very early. With the first day that I made it to Fob Courage, which was Saddam Hussein's palace area, we first
Wow.
get there, vehicle, suicide bomber, all of that, first day. And so it's like, okay, that's your introduction. And then you just, like, I just turned everything off. Like I knew, but I just then turned it off. And so 387 days of constant mortars, constant attacks, flying through the city of Mosul, hanging out of a Black Hawk, taking pictures for intel, driving through the streets. That it does something to you. Like you have to turn all that emotion off, because any emotion is a danger. It's a risk. It'll take your tactical decision ability away. And so with PTSD being talked about right now, when I first started reaching out, and that's why I keep talking about the IHS in VA, is because when I was reaching out for that type of stuff for help, they weren't prepared for, I'm not taking away from any other woman who has served, but they weren't prepared for women who were engaging in things that might not have been engaged before. There were women that were being exposed to things that they might not have been before, and nobody was understanding it. And so that's why I talk so much about red tape and all of that stuff, because while I'm personally reaching out, I'm running into those barriers. And right now I owe my community so much. I owe my families in Browning, my families in South Dakota, my families in Fort Belknap, because every one of them, I was transparent, because I knew that I had to make it a topic. As uncomfortable of a truth as it was, I had to talk about PTSD a lot and had to share. I was in jails, I was treatment, I was in ICUs, just trying to shut all of that crap off. And it came to me finally and completely accepting my role, my traditional role. It kind of came to me accepting ceremony as what our ancestors prayed for, our ancestors fought for, to preserve. And then boarding schools and everybody else comes and trying to take that away from us and telling us that we have to heal this way, we have to heal that way. Well, nothing worked for me. And I kept asking, there was no culturally relevant, I would say, curriculum or teachings. And then we go back to the fight for language and ceremonies on every one of our territories. It, to me, what I've had to endure and what I'm thankful, good and bad, to endure, it came down to ceremonies. It came to me finally just letting go, trying to open myself up to those ceremonies, to Creator, and especially to my horses. And those are the things that started kind of pushing me back into the direction that I needed to go. And it also helped me kind of configure in my brain what those red tapes actually are doing to, because if I'm a veteran and we want to honor our veterans, we want to have Veterans Day, we want to have all this stuff, well, we're not giving our veterans an opportunity to heal from that. I would say my own community members sat with me in my darkest days, the impact that it had on my family, the impact that it's had on my own personal relationships, the impact that it has on the things that I continue to do daily. I will continue to talk about them, as uncomfortable as they are, until they reach the ears that need to listen to hear it. And it is going to be Congress. we can do our own thing. We can heal our ways and ourselves, but the bigger picture is a bigger fight. I hate politics. I don't hate politicians, but I hate that realm. But how do we change that? Then you put better people in there, because if they're not seeing this and we're still something else, then we got a long way to go. So that's kind of how I would say my contribution at the end of this discussion would be.
Hmm. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for.
Oh, she slipped
Oh.
out. That was
She's
pretty-
recon. She's because she's ranger.
That's all right. That's all right. If she joins us again, we'll have her back on.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Randy, because it's like when we first start talking about this, we wanted to honor the women veterans. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys.
No problem. Hey, I just wanted to say for everyone watching and everyone who will watch this as well, this conversation has supported the things that I've grown up to learn in my people with being Koigu, being Kiowa, and I hope that it has for you too. One of the things that I was told when I was younger is that counting kun and going to war was an act of creating balance.
Mhm.
And so our peace teachings and our war teachings, they often live in the same places and sit with the same people. And, those warrior teachings of be active, help your people on the political stage, watch out and accept people where they are, be mindful of them and just love them because they deserve love, and I love Will's last piece there about just like setting goals, establishing a purpose and then going after that. Yes, we as Indigenous people behind that definitely need to do that. Oh no!
Oh, we almost had her. We almost had her. Come on, Linda.
Just came back to laugh at him.
But it's God, I just lost my train of thought when she popped back in. But it's like just I wanted to say if you're a young person or older person out there struggling with whatever you're struggling with, and it's not, some people get into the concept of, but it's not our way, ceremony is not our way, we don't do that kind of thing. Just be open to it. We've been open to it, exposed to a lot of different things that we didn't have a choice in the matter of. So just be open and find a good sweat leader or Sundance leader, and just do your research on and make sure that they're good people and they have good intentions, because there's a lot of people out there that are kind of in between, and just give that a try. And I pray for you. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Today's a time to celebrate, as so says our calendars. Our servicemen and women, those who have stepped up to answer the call. Thank you all for joining us on the call. Thank you all who are watching. I want to say thank you for your service, and acknowledge as well, right here, an elder, Charlie Tailfeathers, who made his walk this year back home, is no longer with us in this life. He did a lot to make things available to Indigenous veterans. They had the veterans gathering down at Grand Ronde, where I first met Linda, and had the opportunity to meet quite a few other people as well. There are resources out there in our communities. People are trying to help those who need help, and uplift and honor and recognize those for the things that they've done. So I just want to say thank you to Charlie for his example, and to all of you for sharing what you've shared with us today. I know we're over time, man, but
Well, speaking of Charlie, I just wanted to throw another push out there. Charlie was big on the veterans or tribal vet reps. So if you're a tribal veteran looking to learning about being a tribal veterans representative, They have classes all over the place, and just check those out, and then you can help your community members apply for those benefits and be there for them. And I just wanted to throw that out there on behalf of Charlie. So I know that was one of the things that he was big into. I started taking those classes myself, and so I just wanted to throw that out there for being a travel veterans representative for your community. So,
Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, if it's
Miigwech.
okay, I'd like to sing us out, sing for everyone here.
Yes.
This is a prayer song that was sung a lot by my adopted brother Kylan. He's Wajaji Osage, so up in the northern part of Oklahoma. Yeah, it's just been really special to me, and I wanted to be able to share this with you guys and everyone who's watching too. Whoa, hey yana, hey nay. 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 Whoa, hey yana, hey nay, yo. Whoa, Wakanda, hey nay. Whoa, Wakanda, hey nay. Whoa, Wakanda, hey nay. Whoa, Wakanda, hey nay. Whoa, Wakanda, hey nay, yo. Hone, thank you. So,
Miigwech. Thank you, Jimmy
Nope.
Gwech.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
I'd like to be in
Linda,
touch with
Bud.
you somehow.
Yes.
good
yes,
to see your faces.
Yes,
Good to see
yes.
your faces and hear your voices. Thank you.
Yes. I wish your prayers to your family. I know we're in a rough time, but love, prayer, and peace to every one of you and your families. And
And
everybody
you.
who's watching. Yes.
Yes.
Watching. Thank you.
Haha. Miigwech. Thank you.